guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. Today we're going to start taking a look at these Baba Shop EZAs. See how good some of these characters are going to be. We'll go ahead and give our boy Nappa a sticker here, and we'll jump in and see how good he is. My expectations, I would say, are not quite high for the Baba Shop EZAs. Maybe if Dokkan Fest Raditz was, the strongest unit in the game and this Nappa was supporting him, that would give Nappa, I guess, a little bit more viability, but these Baba Shop EZAs just being type supports is probably not the greatest thing. So let's hop in, and let's see how good Nappa is. Alright guys, so we're here in an event. We are on the Saiyan Saga team led by Raditz. Now, Nappa actually does have two different 200% leader skills here, right? He has Raditz's, and then Nappa is also on Captain Ginyu's, Dokkan Fest Captain Ginyu. So we have two different setups we potentially could run. Nappa being a Saiyan character, right, like, he will work very effectively on Raditz's team, right? Because remember, it's pure Saiyan and then Saiyan Saga. If we take a look at what Nappa's link set is, he has Saiyan Warrior Race, Brutal Beatdown, Tough as Nails, Berserker, over 9,000 shocking speed, and shattering the limit. Now, real quick, Tough as Nails. Tough as Nails is definitely, I think, one of the best links in the game. Oftentimes, it can be pretty hard to sort of activate for a lot of decent characters that have it, right? This is 20% defense and 5% damage reduction, so it is very effective if you do have it active. I mean, for the Saiyan Saga team, we do have both Raditz and then the LR Goku and Piccolo, right? So, because remember, the thing with this Nappa here is that he is a support, but it's only for physical typings. So he gives physical type 2 key and 30% attack and defense. And then he gives physical types 10% attack and defense in addition with 3 physical key spheres. It's so weird. Like, I hate that design. So it's like, he has to get physical key spheres in order to do that? That's terrible. Alright, I mean, we got a really good opening rotation. I would actually like to see this. So I guess we're just going to orb change right out of the gate. Because, again, we got a really solid rotation for Nappa right here. So I would like to be able to get this. So, alright, the way Nappa works, right? He's getting 120% defense on super attack, right? Which is going to put him up to, what, maybe like 250-ish, something like that? Maybe 240k defense after super. Then he gets 30% attack and defense with 3 key spheres. And then another 50% attack and defense with 5 key spheres. And he does get 30% defense from a super attack effect. So let's go ahead and grab these. So this is going to activate 3 separate buffs. 30% attack and defense, 50% attack and defense, and then basically physical type 10% attack and defense with 3 physical key spheres. So we're going to get this. Nappa's stats should shoot up. 169. So is he going to be like a shade under 400k defense right here? That's what he's going to be at? Just like a shade under 400k, I believe. I don't know, because it's like, we did that, but it's like, you have to get so many orbs. Like, if he looked like this every turn, I feel like he'd be solid, like a free-to-play Baba Shop, Baba Point character that's like a support like this. I could get to around 400k defense would be pretty good. I feel like there's 2 changes that probably should have been... Again, this is a very good turn for Nappa. I think there's 2 changes that should have been done for these Baba Shop EZA characters. I'll be repeating this a lot during these showcases. All these was at 4.82. I mean, that's decent considering Nappa is a support, right? On that turn, he was, again, just a shade under 400k defense, it looked like. I think there's 2 issues for these Baba Shop EZAs. Number 1... them needing all these orbs is not great. I just feel like that's so tough for difficult content. Especially because a lot of the best characters in the game, right? Like, if we're going to run Raditz's team, which I have been running Raditz's team in the red zone quite a bit lately, it's like, I am trying to you know, get my orbs for, like, you know, LR Carnival Goku and, you know, like the LR Gods and LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, right? All these top tier characters, I'm more so trying to prioritize getting the orbs for them. And then, you know, Raditz himself needs to super attack in order to get his defense, right? And oftentimes he's not linking the best for some of those big, powerful characters. So it just becomes very problematic. Like, I think about using this Nappa on, like, the Pure Saiyan team, and it's just like, no way, man. Like, there's no way we'll be able to get him all of these orbs that he potentially would be needed. I just don't see it happening, right? So the orb restriction probably should have been taken away, right? And changed into some, like, the exact number he gets, just give that to him as a start of turn buff, I think, is probably what they should have did. And then the physical type support is fine, but I think then also buff a category as well. So I think if Nappa was buffing physical type and Saiyan Saga, I think that would have worked really well, right? That would have allowed some of these characters, I think, to be much better too, right? Like, actually being able to give support to kind of like a niche category, I think would be a really good idea. Okay, so now, yeah, 100k defense at the start of turn. It's a lot worse. So we're not gonna get the physical orb support here, but we're gonna get his 3 keys sphere, 30% attack and defensive buff, and then the 5 key sphere, 50% attack and defensive buff. So we'll grab that. So again, remember, he gets 120k, or 120% on super attack, and then he's getting 30% from his super attack effect. So, I mean, he's going to be, what, maybe like 320, 330, 340, something, I think somewhere in that range when both buffs hit. I mean, that's with all the orbs. All right, let's do this turn. Let's jump in. Let's see what happens, what this Nappa's stats look like. We'll probably just stick to pretty much a similar team. But let me see, like, what his defense is looking like when we, like, get, you know, like, one orb. Like, right? Like, when we're not getting these abilities. I'm just curious. But it seems like maxed out and wanked out, this Nappa seems okay. But of course, like, when we're actually going into tough content, it's not going to be easy to just get all of these orbs in all these perfect situations always, right? Like, that's just not going to be the case, which is definitely going to be a bit of an issue. These Baba Shop EZAs needing orbs while not creating them is an issue. If they also gave them, like, rainbow orb changing or something like that, I feel like these abilities would be way worse. Or, excuse, they'd be way better, right? So, like, you know, if we didn't, you know, Nappa needs to get all these orbs, but he's creating orbs on the way in. That's what most nuking characters these days are, creating their own orbs, right? So that there's at least a certain level of consistency, which unfortunately Nappa's not gonna hit, right? All right, guys. So here we have a rotation. We have some support. We're next to Raditz, right? Now I want to see what happens if we don't get a ton of orbs right here. So let's just get to, what are we at right here? 82k defense, you say, huh? Okay, so let's go ahead and grab 2 orbs. And then he's still at 82k. Yeah, that's, whew. So he's getting 120%, and then he's also, again, remember, getting the 30%. These characters, like, they are completely reliant on getting these orbs. I feel like it's going to end up being, what is the point in running them? And the thing is, too, like, Nappa's at that level. We're getting support from Broly and Paragus right there. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to walk away from all of these Baba Shop EZAs saying, what the hell is the point? Terrible. Okay, watch this. Here, let's fix all 5 of them. Their super attack effect, all of them are the same, right? Roshi, Nappa, Deborah, Great Saiyaman, Krillin. They raise defense by 30% for 1 turn on their super attack effect, which is solid. I do like the defense on super attack effect. Change it to stacking. Bam. That's it. Let them stack. I always say it how it's like it's almost sort of like a lazy like thing to give characters, but like it works. It's so simple and so effective, right? You give these characters that ability, and then, oh, wow, what a shock. All of a sudden, you know, they can be a little bit more effective in some of this tough content. Because it's like, there's no way in hell you'd want to run these characters, Nappa and stuff like that, in Super Battle Road stages. So, you know, like, giving them the stacking to maybe get a little bit better for, like, maybe, like, a red... So, like, if Nappa stacked, I feel like... So, who's a really tough int red zone boss? Final Form Cooler, right? Like, maybe we could fight Final Form Cooler, and then, you know, Nappa get a couple stacks in, and then towards the end of the fight, he could be very solid. And it's like, you know, against, like, some of these tough red zone bosses, like, if I'm fighting that Final Form Cooler, I want to bring a mostly physical lineup. That's the type of squad I want to bring against that boss. So, you know, that would have, I think, helped these guys out quite a bit. I'm sorry if I'm a little negative here, but I just don't, because, like, dude, like, they actually, like, are like, yeah, please, get physical key spheres. Like, that's so easy when he's not even creating it. Like, I don't understand. This is no support right here, right? So now we have a rotation with no support, 136k. Again, remember, he gets 120%, and then the 30% right there. I just don't see it. Wow, what a bummer. They, it's these characters could have been, like, solid helps. I feel like Dokkan sometimes just doesn't realize that, like, they can make these characters decent, right? Like, Nappa, even if he was, like, a top 5 free-to-play unit in the game, he doesn't unbalance things, right? Like, all of a sudden, you know, oh my god, now the Pure Saiyan team is a problem, right? Oh my god, now Terrifying Conquerors is Beast Mode team, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, Nappa has 4 categories: Pure Saiyan, Terrifying Conqueror, Space Traveling Warriors, and Saiyan Saga, right? He probably is he's only going to make the Saiyan Saga roster. That would be the only one. And even then, if this Nappa is really solid, it's not all of a sudden like, holy Christ, dude, Saiyan Saga is ballin' now, right? Like, it doesn't work like that. All it would do is it would be a little bit more, like, effective running a bad category. There's times where Dokkan, I feel like they could flop on, like, some free-to-play characters or something like that, and it, like, doesn't matter. And then there's other times where it's, like, it's kind of a bummer when they flop on free-to-play units because they actually really could have been handy, right? Like, Saiyan Saga needs literally any single thing it could get. This Nappa being good would have helped Saiyan Saga quite a bit, right? Dabura being good and, you know, supporting, like, Crota Body and Mind or something like that would have helped out quite a bit. Definitely some fumbles by Dokkan here, for sure. Alright, guys, we'll finish up with just a few more rotations here. Let me know what you guys think about this Nappa here. Not really the greatest. The other thing, too, is that So, one other ability the Nappa has I don't think I've talked about up to this point in the video is, along with his 30% attack and offensive buff he gets with 3 key spheres, he also gets a high chance to crit, which, sure, is good. And that, you know, if he's doing 3 and 4 million attack stats, but it's going to be critting, right? Like, he could be looking solid or something like that. Fine, right? But it's, I don't, like, you're not running this guy for damage, right? Like, that's not gonna help too much. Like, I just think it's almost, like, meaningless on this guy, right? Like, some sort of utility or defensive ability, right? Like, really a lot of all 5 of these Baba Shop EZAs have, like, very weird sort of, like, abilities that they're getting, right, from the 3 key spheres. You know, like, Krillin can heal, Dabura can stun, stuff like that. I feel like maybe a little bit better, right? Like, what if one of the characters got like a 70% chance to dodge? What if one of them had, like, a scouter, right? Like, just stuff like this just makes them a lot more viable. Because, like, you know, I'll see people will comment, like, oh, here goes True with the Mickey Mouse checklist. It's like, yeah, but if they don't hit off the Mickey Mouse checklist, the unit is complete ass, and it doesn't even get run, ever, right? Like, they're a complete throwaway on day 1. That's what happens, so. Oh, look at this! Hey! We got our orbs right away. Beautiful. Sure, let's go ahead and hit this. I saw Raditz at 252k defense. He jumps up to 258. Nappa's at 106k defense right there. Remember, he gets 120% on the super attack effect, or his super attack, and then 30% as well from his super attack effect. So, yeah, just a little bit of, man, these Baba Shop EZAs. It's a shame, because I was looking at these guys a couple months ago, and I was thinking, like, oh, okay, like, you know, some of them are on some teams. They potentially could help, right? Like, some of these teams. And I thought the idea of making them a type support and the category support would work really well. That's my idea for what they could do for the 50% type supports as well, right? Like the Pan, the Rildo, the Tien, the second form Cell, right? So like second form Cell could buff Tech, and then he could also buff Andros Cell Saga, right? Pan could buff AGL, and she could buff GT Heroes. Boom. Literally, that's all it takes. And then all of a sudden, right, like those units could be very runnable. I was hoping they'd do the same thing here, but unfortunately they did not. Alright, this is Diabolical Strike Nappa. His leader skill is Physical Type Key 3 and 90% of stats. Pointless, but it doesn't matter. These types of characters aren't leader units, right? It doesn't matter. His super attack is the Break Cannon, which raises defense by 30% for 1 turn and does supreme damage to the enemy. His passive skill, Total Carnage, gives him 120% attack and defense on super attack. He gets 30% attack and defense and a high chance to crit with 3 or more key spheres. He gets 50% attack and defense with 5 or more key spheres. He gives physical types 2 key and 30% attack and defense. And then physical types get an additional 10% attack and defense with 3 or more physical key spheres. So it's like you need to get 5 key spheres with Nappa, and 3 of them need to be physical key spheres, right? Like that is not ideal, right? Like I've mentioned throughout the video numerous fixes that could have made this guy better. Just giving him defensive stacking could help. Change the high chance to crit to something more utility-based. It's a support unit, not a damage unit. Give him a scouter, give him guard, give him dodge, give him, well, I mean, I was going to say give him the damage reduction ability that Dokkan Fest Kid Goku that just came out has, but I mean, that's obviously, Dokkan's considering that a heavy premium ability. I mean, to be fair, sort of they count scouter and stuff like that as well, but the problem with this design is they just create like a throwaway character on day 1, right? Like, I don't see where you would use this guy. Maybe Battlefield? I guess you could run him in Battlefield, actually. That's it. I might do that. I might add a couple of these guys to my Battlefield roster and try it out a little bit, I guess. I guess is what I'll do. Nappa's link set is Saiyan Warrior Race, Brutal Beatdown, Tough as Nails, Berserker, over 9,000, Shocking Speed, and Shattering the Limit. So he has like the typical Nappa link set, again, which is why he could work effectively, potentially, on Saiyan Saga, but he only buffs physical, which is unfortunate. 12 multiplier is 140%. And then finally, Nappa is on only a few category teams here, right? So he's on the Pure Saiyan team where, I mean, do you guys want me to tell you that he doesn't make the roster, or do you want to just assume that yourselves, right? Like, yeah, you're not running Nappa on Pure Saiyans, okay? Then Nappa's on Terrifying Conquerors, and again, do you need me to tell you that you're not running Nappa on Terrifying Conquerors, or, right? You're probably not going to find a spot for Nappa on here, just, just throwing that out there. Then we have the Space Traveling Warrior team right here. Again, Nappa does not make this roster, there's no way. And then you have the one team he could make, which is Saiyan Saga, and this is where it's a huge goddamn bummer that he's not, a little bit better. Saiyan Saga could use any help it could get. It's such a small category that they haven't really given love to throughout the game's history. This team really could use, I think, an awful lot. So, let me know what you guys think of this Baba Shop Nappa. Unfortunately, he seems meh. I feel like these guys, it's Battlefield. Battlefield is where they could help, right? Like, especially, maybe like Deborah with that stun could be good in some Battlefield fights. I feel like free-to-play players could probably get help from these guys in Battlefield, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, at the very least, towards the end of this first one, I identified that I think they will help in there, right? Because, especially if you might have like the 50% support as well, or some other orb changer, maybe there will be an abundance of physical orbs. These units potentially could be solid in some Battlefield situations, especially the villain versions, because there's not like that many extreme physical characters or extreme int characters or something like that, right? You could probably find a spot for some of them, so let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.